Welcome to another episode of Behavior Solutions TV. You ever have a student that is manipulative in the way they provoke other students, and they're actually so intelligent that they know how to get away with not getting caught, but yet they'll cut a little facial expression or they'll make a provoking statement to another peer while you're not looking, and there's this big reaction from the other peer, and it starts chaos or mayhem in your classroom, and you tell your colleagues about it, you try to tell administrators, but the student is so smart that when another colleague of yours comes in to try to observe the student, they don't see the behavior because the student is really good at reading the room, and they're on to you if somebody else comes to observe them, and they'll actually act totally different, and they'll smile, or they'll be on task doing their work or taking notes or doing whatever is required. This student is sneaky. They're two S's. They're smart, two, and they're sneaky at the same time. But yet, they're doing things to provoke other peers. What can you do to stop this behavior? And to add insult to injury, what makes it worse is the peers that they choose to pick on are peers that everyone kind of knows that this peer has an issue. They don't have, social skills the way that other peers do. They don't have the same wherewithal. So they're almost predatory in the way that they're picking on these group of kids. What do you do with a student like this? Well, here's what you have to do. You have to come up with a behavior plan that is ultra specific to the pro-social behaviors that you want to see. So this is something that I've done for my students that are enrolled in Defiance to Compliance. Is I've actually created a behavior chart for this kind of sneaky student with 3 behaviors that are pro-social behaviors, that when they do these behaviors, you give them points for the behaviors at the end of your class, and you reinforce that when they're not doing these behaviors, you reinforce when they're doing the behaviors, but when they're not doing the behaviors, they don't earn the points and they don't earn the reinforcements that you select for them to earn as a result of gaining their points. So here's what you do. You pick 3 pro-social behaviors that you want to see, and then you give them 2 points each for demonstrating these behaviors, and then they have the opportunity to earn 6 points at the end of your class, and 5 to 6 points is going to earn them the reinforcer that they want. So for example, let's say you have a student who, when you're not looking, they make these facial expressions that provoke other peers. They do the big wide eyes, or they stick their tongue out, and this is all things when you're not looking. So one of the pro-social behaviors that you would put on the behavior chart is friendly facial expressions, because what that does is, on a positive note, when they're making friendly facial expressions, or at least neutral facial expressions, they earn their 2 points for that. If they're doing any of that sticking the tongue out or cutting somebody your eye or any of that, they're not earning their points. They're not earning the reinforcer. So that's one example. So pick 3 behaviors opposite of what they're doing, of these sneaky behaviors, and put them on a behavior chart, and they earn 2 points each for demonstrating these behaviors. 6 points they get to earn at the end of class. Okay, what you can do is this. Actually, you can give them opportunity during the midpoint of your class to cash in on if they have at least earned 3 of the 6 points. So that way the reinforcement is a little more immediate. So that's a way for you to kind of gauge some of these behaviors that are provoking your students, and you want them to get away from that. And so again, if you want more information on how to pinpoint what would be a good reward for the student, there's ways that you can pinpoint and identify that. I go over those in depth in the Defiance to Compliance 101 course. But I just want to kind of give you a strategy that you can use for these students, because I know how frustrating it is when it's a student who's highly intelligent, they know how to get away with provoking peers, and you're trying to do something about it. One other thing that you can do, and that is the students that are being picked on by this student, you have to teach them how to be more assertive. So it's really an indirect way of dealing with this behavior with the problem student also, while you're empowering the student who is getting picked on by the student. And it's little small things, you know, like facial expressions that are causing them to go off. So you may have to empower them by teaching the other students coping skills, by teaching the other students how to notify an authority figure when they're being frustrated by this student, by empowering this student with social scripts that they can use and practice to tell the student in a firm way to back off of them. So that is something you can do, is empower the students that are being picked on. And of course, I have an entire social skills component in the Defiance to Compliance course, where I teach social scripts and initiating skills and coping skills and everything that's in that whole social acronym. So I hope that you found this helpful. Digest this, think about it, come up with a point program, and use it, and tell me how it works for you. Take care.